So when you finish, just with that keypad, star 8 or hang up the call. Okay. Yep, and I noticed your Jabber's going. Have you sort of muted that so it doesn't echo and feedback? No?
No, I haven't done anything.
Hey guys, just testing the audio and stuff for the room. Is everything okay?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Yeah, and Jacob and
Clear.
Yes,
I can hear you.
everyone can see the presentation? Okay, fantastic.
Thanks,
See you later. All good.
Thank you.
Let me know when you need the record.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
I wonder if that's going to continue. I hope not.
I hope not.
Otherwise, we'll have to turn it on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so we've got 24 numbers are still joining, so we might just wait a couple of more minutes. While we're waiting, if everyone can just mute themselves while we have the presentation.
And also, there's a Slido and the code as well if you think you may be interested in asking questions a little bit later on. Yeah. But it's supposed to be good, right? The connection. That's good as can be. Okay, up to 36. We'll start on 05. Yeah, that's right. Just a reminder for the Slido and the code is on the slide as well. So if you would like to ask some questions later on, do that. Cool. I reckon we should make a start. Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming. So this session, we will talk, give you a bit of an overview on the new quality review framework and processes. We will tell you a little bit about what happened in stage 1. We had a pilot a little bit earlier, and obviously what the change are for staff and what that means for them, and also our plans in July for the full rollout to all of the paints group as well. I thought I'd start off with why did we do this review? Well, as part of ISO certified organisation, IP Australia regularly do review our systems and processes to make sure that they're fit for our purpose. So obviously we want to have a quality review system and a quality review framework that continue to support quality examination products and practices. This quality review is also a recommendation from the PSIA project, now rebranded as PAF. And I guess one of the reason as well for looking at this quality review is that despite the fact that we know that there are good benefits for having a quality review system, we knew that it wasn't working as well as it could be. And so in doing this review, we want to change all that. I can't remember how many times, there are certainly many that I've heard of examiners telling me they felt like they were examining for quiz, and certainly that's not the kind of behaviour that we want to have. So looking at this quality review, we had thought about how can we actually change the processes and the system so that we can actually drive optimal behaviours, promote a very strong customer focus, because when people say that they're examining for quiz, they aren't actually thinking about our stakeholders at all. And obviously, beyond that, we also want to support learning development for our staff, and all of that go to helping the whole business group and the organisation to continuously improve. And obviously, we talk about systems and processes, but really it's about the people. Underlying all these changes is actually how staff will engage with the quality review, and none of that will actually happen without people thinking about the quality review system differently. So this project started in 2018, I think around June. We set out to look at 6 areas of recommendations: quality objectives, quality standards, the review framework, how we sample, how we report, and the governance, of course. We finished making all the 6 recommendations late last year, and since then we've been looking at how to implement, of course. In this session, I will mainly focus on the first 4 because they're the ones that will impact examiners more. The quality objectives, well, these were landed probably late March last year, and they came in a set of 3. Stakeholders, customers have confidence in our decisions, our services and products demonstrates a professional approach. The information we provide is useful to our stakeholders. And I think these set of objectives gave the project guiding principles as we moved forward with the recommendations, but also see it influencing our examination practice and how we kind of move with quality in the future. With the quality standards, we've definitely made a lot of changes on that. Many of you would have remember the A3 sheet of paper with the red, orange and the yellow and text filled the whole A3 page. What we've decided to do with the quality standard is to focus really on the validity of the IP rights. So much of the ratings and all of that is about the legal assessment and the decision making around the legal assessment. It's a much more simplified approach. And the reason why we want to do that is, of course, to make sure that the standard is not so prescriptive, which is one of the comments that many people have made to the old, I think I can call it old now, old standard, because there's so many aspects to it. From the 53 different attributes, we've reduced that to 7, and the intention is pretty clear that we want to make sure that examiners focus on things that are really important to us and also to the organisation. And the statements in the standard are also drafted broadly, and that's also intentional because we wanted examiners to see that there are greater flexibility in terms of they can actually get a better outcome for a customer. We want to empower them to use their professional judgment in doing that as well. And conversely, of course, that also applies to when you're reviewing a case. I hope that they can see, use a professional judgment, looking at the case from a more holistic perspective. Sampling. It's actually quite interesting area. I guess, all of you, I'm assuming, would know how we used to sample based on examiner. You know, we have normal sampling, additional sampling, reduced sampling, and whatnot. And some of the comments we've heard, obviously, is that the sampling made the examiners felt like they're quite targeted. So one of the first things that we actually decided was that we don't want to base sampling on the individuals. But where do we go from there? Well, we did hear that section sampling was quite acceptable. I think people were reasonably happy with that. I guess from the project perspective, we also thought about what the purpose of the quality review system is that we want to focus on the right products, and so that we are also spending our resources on products that are important as well. So I guess there are many aspects to it, but where we've landed is using a risk impact based and product-based approach. What does that mean? Well, what it means is different products, depending on the risk to the organisation or the impact on the customer, will be sampled at a different rate. PCT, for example, carries a bit of reputational risk because it's a very highly visible product, as well as something that many other offices would use. So it's a high risk product. A first adverse report with foreign examination foreign searches already, or foreign examination reports already, and ones that we didn't really have to, ones which we don't have to search. Being an adverse report, you can also get a second bite at the cherry. So those are considered lower risk. So that's how we set up the risk or the impact of the different products. We've also consulted the EL2s in that process, asking them what they thought was really important for us to look at more of. So that's how we intend to do sampling when we roll it out to everybody in patents. The overall sampling rate, I thought may be worthwhile mentioning as well, is around 3.5%, and that's roughly the same as what we've been doing in the previous years as well. Because also we're sampling by products, it is possible that some people might, over a particular period of time, maybe sample more, their products may be sampled more than others. But I just want to reinforce the fact that how we look at the quality review process or system is really about learning and development. So even if you sample more than your products are sampled more, a little bit more, that's okay too. It's just an opportunity to learn. What's next? Let's have a look. So, stage 1 pilot. So I know I haven't really touched on who's going to do the reviews yet, but I hope that's not a surprise to everyone as well, because we had the pilot started from, I believe, the 6th of April till the 5th of June. That's happened for 9 weeks. And we had 15 seniors involved from each of the section. They were trained in the new standards and objectives, and during that period, they reviewed sample cases for the entire section. We do believe that the seniors, as managers, are best placed to look at the products, but also give feedback to their staff as well. So during pilot, the case examiner has feedback conversation from the review in terms of what went well, what can be improved, and identify any learning development aspects to the case as well. Overall, we did about 115 products. 19 of those reviews were in flight, and 96 of them were post-process reviews. I wasn't going to go into the actual results and how many numbers were meeting standards, simply because they were kind of what we have been expecting all along, so no big changes there. In terms of what's next, We are moving to the implementation in July. So what that means is we will be training all the other senior examiners who hasn't had experience with the new standards yet by their technology group. There's a series of trainings starting from next week. And just want to reiterate again, the work is sampled by products, and we are working towards full recommendation as the QRS app, which will operate under PMI, is made available to us. At the moment, the in-flight capability is limited until we have the QRS app. For examiners, what changes are there for you? Well, your work is sampled based on products, and obviously your cases will be reviewed by seniors in your section. The feedback conversation will occur as part of each review, so regardless of the outcome, your senior will schedule a conversation with you. Again, the focus is about learning and I guess looking at your approach with a more customer-focused perspective. It's really about how we can continue to improve as examiners and how we can improve the outcome for the customers as well. And obviously, along the way, maybe there's some support and learning development that you might want to discuss with your manager. I do want to emphasize on the coaching, on the conversation that you will have as part of the quality review process, because that's actually a change for us. Many of us are used to receiving written feedback, like an email, with no opportunity to discuss. And from the new process perspective, we want the reviewer to have a conversation with the examiner, regardless of what the outcome is, whether it's very good, or not so good. Part of that is because we want to encourage people talking about what the examination approach is, sharing the knowledge and information along the way. You know, once you start those conversations going, people actually can learn from one another. And I think that's a really important aspect of the changes that we want to have happening. I know from the pilot, people have been pretty positive about the conversation. For example, one of the seniors said the staff were very receptive to the acknowledgement about the work well done, but also were quite keen to discuss, the different approaches. The seniors said that they were quite keen on the conversation because they could actually ask some questions, understanding how the examiner approached the particular scenario, and also identify any learning gaps as well. One of the things that we identified in the pilot is that our brains aren't wired to receive feedback. So we wanted to provide a bit of support, not only in giving feedback, but also in receiving feedback as well. Understanding that our brain is constantly scanning for, threat and reward. And if we hear good feedback, we liked it, we lean in, and the innovative and collaborative part of our brain lights up. But when we hear something, not so good, it's kind of like a fight and flight syndrome. And so the innovative and collaborative part of our brain actually shuts down, and then we are less open to the feedback and learning. I guess, the quality review process, I feel like a broken record, but I do want to say again, it really is about learning and development. So I think everyone has, opportunity to learn from one another. And we should feel safe and should be able to have a conversation about areas that we could actually, we've done well, but also reflect on where we can do better. We have developed some resources in a Learn Hub, which is a guide to giving and receiving feedback as well, as the seniors will be taking the trainings about the standards and the processes as such. There will also be a little segment leadway to about giving feedback as well. From the quality areas perspective, we know that everyone will make a mistake at some point. It's really how we fix it and learn from it that matters. So I think that's pretty much it. So happy to take on any questions. I do have the Slido and a code in front of you. So if you're interested, please feel free, and we'll just wait for a couple minutes. I might actually stop sharing.
Nothing as yet.
Okay. Maybe no questions. No? Wow. Maybe we can finish early. Oh. In general, so the question is, in general, how many reviews each individual will have in a single year? So it is fairly difficult to say. The sampling is done randomly. As I said before, it is product-based, so it may depend on what kind of products that you are doing. But I just want to remind us again that the sampling rate was 3.5% to 4%. It was actually under 4%. So if you, I guess, think of it that way, and obviously first report, further acceptances, and all of that. PCT work is sampled, but it's about 3 to 4% on average. I think that's really important, on average. So we have one question about flexibility is one of the words I used around the new quality system. Would this then apply to tailoring how we give feedback? For example, if people actually prefer written feedback. I think we do prefer conversation feedback because when feedback is written, sometimes it can be easily interpreted. But certainly some things are in our guidelines. Actually, we talked about you can provide, before you going into the conversation, you can actually provide some dot points and questions or discussion points that you want to talk about, and or even if you do have a little bit of discussions that are written, it would be really good to actually call the person, the people you're giving feedback to, as as part of the process. So while I think we're happy with some written along the way, we do really emphasize on having those conversations.
Another question.
How good work will be rewarded under the new quality system to facilitate high quality examination? I think in many ways the feedback provided to the examiner should be a way to encourage people or nudge people in the right direction. Like I said before, we talked about customer focus. So I think that's, by providing people good feedback, you reinforces the behavior that you actually want people to, how people want to behave. In terms of other rewards, IP Australia as an organisation have our own, reward and recognition systems. So there's nothing outside of what we already have that we're proposing.
That's right. Okay, someone typing maybe?
I don't know. We're just going to wait a couple more seconds because we don't have any questions on Slido. If anyone wants to speak up though, feel free.
the other option, Kathy, we can leave this open for another half an hour, and then we can collate the questions and answers and pop them on the intranet.
About the, I didn't touch on the rating in my presentation, but obviously there is a range of rating, including excellent rating as well. We do see that as a part of acknowledgement about work well done as well. But that's not all of that as well. So some situations you don't actually, that's not the only thing that you could provide to an examiner to actually encourage them and reward them. Yep, I think that's pretty much it. So the question is, will senior examiners carry out QA in each section B on a rotation? So I'm assuming the question referred to, will senior examiners carry a quality review in each of the section on a rotational basis? So my answer to that will be our preference is that where you can, the manager for the examiner, they look at the case and provide the feedback. But obviously, it is part of your section working together. We also have, there are also situations where a different manager might might do the review and provide the feedback. It could be as a way of balancing the workload or making sure that things go out more quickly. And that's a way of, I guess, your section working together. I don't think we have any more questions. If not, happy to close the meeting. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.